What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday. Some intel on Jeremiyah Love coming from former ESPN. I almost called him ESPN's Todd McShay. But no, he is no longer ESPN's Todd McShay. He's doing his own thing, and they actually had a pretty big announcement yesterday. So, but Todd McShay of the Todd McShay Show on The Ringer did give some insight into the latest, what I am calling smokescreen around Jeremiyah Love. Not what Todd McShay is saying. It's a smokescreen. I'm calling it a smokescreen, just to put that out there on the record in the first minute of the show. And the Titans at 4, the Giants at 5, and the Commanders at 7. And the love for Jeremiyah Love, the best overall player in this draft class, as we're Easton officially under 1 month away from the draft. We are ready to rock on this Tuesday morning. We'll talk to you guys about the Titans' chances to draft the Notre Dame Heisman Trophy finalist running back, and then who McShay actually had in his mock 3.0. So, to the Titans at 4. That wasn't Jeremiyah Love.
Correct.
We got a lot of stuff to talk through, and it's a Tuesday. Will we actually throw shade? Because we've been doing a lot of mocks live on Tuesdays for whatever reason, and we haven't had time to throw shade. Or I mean, I don't even know if we've thrown shade since the combine properly.
It's been a while.
It's been a bit.
It's been a while.
We'll see if the shade returns. It should return today. So Easton, what's up? Welcome in. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, what's up? Good morning, Austin. Good morning to everybody in the chat. Going to be a good show today. We need you guys to lock in, like that show on Facebook and on YouTube. That's all we ask of you. Free program here, free A to Z sports.com content. We don't do paywall stuff here. We just ask that you please like the show. It's a very simple and easy task, a free task that we appreciate you all doing. So hit that like button for us. The numbers this morning are a little bit sleepy. So let's get after it.
We're 2 minutes in.
Let's get after it. You know, rise and grind, Austin.
I mean,
there's never no time like the present.
Maybe the likes also got dressed in the dark.
All right. Listen. I'm going to let Austin do the rest of the show solo. I'm going to leave now. Just completely threw me right off my game. Just introduce the show. Whatever. I have no more things to say. Start the show.
Stadium Pulse is shaking him already.
No, I'm not even nervous. I'm just annoyed. I'm annoyed with you this morning.
All right. Welcome to the A to Z Sports Show live on this Tuesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze, our Titans reporter for A to Z Sports.com. And we're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, driven by AutoPro Nashville. We go live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Yeah, you got it.
You can follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Also, going to drop in the Google Preferred Source link here, so you can follow us there on Google. So when you look up Titans mock drafts, you see Easton's A to Z Sports.com link in our shows and all the other content that we're doing by following us on Google.
Instead of Field Yates's.
I'm sorry?
Instead of Field Yates's.
Yes, instead of Field Yates's garbage mock that he put out this morning at ESPN.com.
It's good rage bait. I'll give him that.
Go to A to Z Sports.com for non-garbage mocks for the Titans that Easton writes. So let's thank our sponsors before we dive into this latest intel on Jeremiyah Love in the draft. AutoPro Nashville, providing an assortment of multiple types of Highline luxury vehicles at competitive prices. 2 locations, Brentwood and Murfreesboro. AutoProNashville.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine care. boneandjointtn.org. And Window Nation, take advantage of March's sale, 50% off all window styles, and you could get 0% financing for a couple of years if the credit lines up there. For windownation.com for a free estimate for you. So
this is true, by the way. The worst mock of the entire season so far, and I'm not sure its crown's going to be taken, was that PFF mock where the Titans traded the freaking the kingdom to move up to 2 to draft Jeremiyah Love.
So this is a good little PSA. Throw that back up there from Bork.
By all means.
I think it's important to remember that is that the worst mock was the PFF one. So like PFF is getting there was a name, there was a human being that did that mock draft. It's their mock draft, right? And so it's because there are people at Pro Football Focus who probably completely disagree with that mock draft.
I'd imagine all of them.
Right? All of them.
Probably all of them.
But the one guy who did it,
Yeah.
right? And so I feel like we need to recognize
I put that on them, not us, Austin. I hear where you're going with this.
Well, because where I'm going to go with this is you and I are going to have dueling mock drafts later this week.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not A to Z Sports mock drafts. Those are an Austin Stanley mock draft and an Easton Freeze mock draft.
Yes, but I mean,
right?
you know how it works. And in perception is reality, right?
Totally.
And the perception is that that's what it is. Like,
yes,
this is a lesson in brand ambassadorship. Like, there's certain in NFL.com. I don't dislike all the people at NFL.com by any means, but they, during mock draft season, and you and I have talked about this privately, they let some interesting critters do some mock drafts. Like, who is this guy? He's the, you look him up and you're like, he's the assistant managing editor for NFL.com, and he's doing a mock draft. Like, I don't have any problem with that guy doing a mock draft, but we're publishing that on NFL.com? Like, we're just going to publish anyone?
At the same time, I also understand everybody was once upon a time, who is this guy? Like, it's like,
sure.
So in order to no longer be a who is this guy, you've got to start somewhere. So I'm not trying to.
I'm not saying don't start. I'm saying don't beclown your organization. Be a good brand ambassador for your organization. Because when you do a mock like that PFF guy did, does it get you a lot of attention and clicks? Are we still talking about it 3 weeks later? Yes, but it's for all the wrong reasons, my friend. It's for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So I guess my point is,
it's for all the wrong reasons.
Let's remember people's name that do work and not just the brand that they work for. You can do both, right? Because you go to NFL Network or NFL.com and you can see the Daniel Jeremiah, the Bucky Brooks, the Lance Zierlein, all the other mock drafts that they put out there. And I call it the Daniel Jeremiah mock draft, not the NFL.com mock draft. It's the Daniel Jeremiah. And so,
I'll be honest, the only reason I remember your name is that it's the A and the A to Z. I use that as a reminder on a regular basis.
Right. Exactly.
What's that guy's name again?
Yeah. Adam. Got it.
I have to check. I have to check my pay stubs to remember what your name is.
Yes, for sure. All right. So
pay stubs, something that still happens. People still have those, right?
Pay stubs.
Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while, somebody asks me.
When was the last time you got a physical pay stub?
Oh,
That's
me?
A fun poll question.
Me? I don't count. I haven't gotten a pay stub.
Did you get a pay stub from the radio back in the day? Like
of course.
A physical one?
Of course. Of course. But that's coming up on 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
All
right. So now on to the regularly scheduled program. Todd McShay, the Todd McShay Show, who put out his new website. That's pretty cool.
It is
dabbled around. I poked around it. Pretty cool overall. But the Todd McShay Show is a really good podcast with Steve Minch that I've gotten into over the last several months more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And I now make it a part of my routine as I have grown and broadened my podcast regular. So Todd McShay, I will let him take it away. He was going through his mock 3.0 yesterday on his podcast, but this was the intel that he is describing, and this is him saying intel on Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love.
Jumping off point for everyone publicly was at number 4 with the Titans. I'm not saying that's over, that he's not going there. I am saying, and I'll be honest, it started with Schefter. Adam Schefter came out and made a very public comment that I don't think it's going to be the Titans at 4. So then I start following up. Here's what I don't want to say hearing. Here's what I know. Just like every other pick in the entire draft, 250 plus picks, there are going to be people in every organization that want player A, people that want player B, and there might be a player C, D, E, and F, right? Mm-hmm. The people within the building are pushing for, and that's a healthy scouting department. Because when you have a scouting department where everyone is a yes man, and okay, that's who you like, GM, then that's what we're going to do. Then you have a cancer building in your building. I think there are people that have a strong opinion on what Jeremiyah Love could provide for a second-year quarterback. And not just his running ability, but also his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and put him with Tony Pollard. And now we can rely on our run game more. And this is going to take a little pressure off, right? And allow Cam to keep developing. There are people in the building that are looking at it and saying maybe a wide receiver. But specifically with Jeremiyah Love, I really think it's going to come down to you got a head coach who's a defensive guy. You've got a general manager who's got to manage all this, and Mike Barganzi, right? Who we got to know a little bit at the combine, really like him. Not just because he's a masshole, but like he comes from the right stock, from Kansas City Chiefs, did it the right way, from Boston College to like a very small role in the Chiefs and climbed his way. He knows what he's doing. He's been around a lot of success. So he's got to manage a defensive coach. And then you got Brian Daboll, who it's not publicly, but I've shared very strong opinion on some players in the previous regime in the Giants that he wanted to bring in and that they passed on. And then finally got kind of, because of those failures, I think the general manager said, well, maybe I need to give the head coach what he needs. And so Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo in different areas of the draft, trading back into 24, 25 overall to get Jackson Dart. And then in the 4th round, getting him Cam Scadaboo. Those were the 2 guys he wanted. So there's going to be some healthy push and pull in that organization on that pick. If it's not the Titans, the clock starts for Jeremiyah Love at 5. But as I said in this, if you go read it, theringer.com/McShay, if you go read this, I said, I'm not overly convinced. This isn't one where I have conviction that this is the pick at this point. I think there's a maybe 50-50 chance. I think Sonny Styles would be absolutely brilliant with the Giants.
Talk about that run defense.
That run defense, all of it. Chess piece. And so if they go with Sonny Styles or a Caleb Downs at 5, then it goes to 7 with the Commanders. Commanders pick at 7 and then not again until 77. Could they try to trade out? But I'm also hearing that they've got a lot of interest in Jeremiyah Love at 7. So that's what I want to keep in mind.
A lot of stuff there from Todd McShay on the Todd McShay show. And I would say that podcast episode was so heavily Titans conversation.
It was.
That I was like, hold on. I'm listening to a national podcast a month before the draft. There's a lot of Titans talk. And they don't have it's not like the first pick, right? Like last year. They were talking Titans, and it continued, and we'll play more of that when we talk about who McShay mocked to the Titans.
Dude, it's kind of brutal. A lot of my like national media friends who I chat with around the calendar, they kind of forget who I am during the regular season for pretty decent reason. And then suddenly I become pretty interesting again once we get to January. So they hit me up. I'm like, oh, well, good to hear from you again. Where you been?
Yes. I've been here the whole time, man.
Yeah, well, what have you been up to? I've been watching this terrible football team.
Well, it's because the Titans are a lot of people are saying like the 4 is where the draft starts kind of thing. But I mean, 2 is interesting, but the Jets are going to go 1 or 2 different ways. Arizona Cardinals are also a weird one, but like, I feel like, and I was talking about this at
I think
dinner.
3 is where the draft starts in that capacity.
And so when you're talking about the Commanders and then the Saints and the Bengals or the Chiefs at 9, the Bengals at 10, the Dolphins at 11, and even the Giants at 5 and the Browns. So really like 4, the Titans get to make a decision that starts the domino, right? Mm-hmm. I think the Titans are the one who flick the domino. It's just what direction do they want to flick it for the next several picks, right?
Sure.
Because I think you look at the Commanders,
I still think
Saints,
it's Arizona, to be honest with you.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think the Titans are also like the next level of like.
I think they're the second domino. I mean,
okay. I see what you're saying.
I hear what you're saying. I think
the Cardinals are not going to take Jeremiyah Love. I think that is the domino that I'm talking about is the Jeremiyah Love domino, either yes or no.
The Love domino, yes.
But that's a big domino because that affects the defensive players.
But I think the Titans' decision on the Love domino is directly impacted by the Cardinals. And in a sense, it's impacted by the Jets, but not really. And again, this is all guesswork on our part, so this is like not reporting, but we all feel pretty certain the Jets are taking one of 2 pass rushers. Like, right, they're taking Bailey or they're taking Reese. We're not sure which, but to me, whichever one they don't pick, the Titans would pick at 4. And we'll get into more of this about the Love versus them kind of thing in a second. With the Cardinals, that then sets them up to either dictate to the Titans the Love situation, I think, because of where I don't want to spoil the rest of the show. The Bane thing. Like, whether or not they take an edge rusher as well, or they go tackle, I mean, that might just straight up be that might make the decision for Tennessee. It may be that simple.
I don't disagree, but then like I'm looking at how the other teams behind, like I'm looking at teams 5 through 11 specifically, and the Dolphins are just like, we will take whoever the heck you guys let us take because we need them.
We just need players, man.
Whoever that person is, we need them. Yes, thank you. And so the other teams are very fascinating what direction they can go. I think the Titans are the decision makers. Also, like they choose and then they let everybody else kind of take all that. Like Sonny Styles is involved, Caleb Downs, Cardinal Tate for the rest of the Ohio State guys. And then you talk about Mansour Delane, who apparently is a blazing speed guy all of a sudden now. So there's a lot of stuff there, right? So I want to ask you the question before we get to our official question for the audience. What stood out most to you in that Todd McShay, Jeremiyah Love intel piece? Because I have a couple different directions I could go.
That's a great question. What stood out most?
Do you mean to buy you some time?
Yeah, let me think about it. I want to hear yours.
I will buy you some time, but I'm not going to tell you mine. I'm going to tell you guys about our friends
fine.
at AutoPro Nashville, driven by AutoPro Nashville every morning here on A to Z Sports Nashville. AutoPro Nashville does a fantastic job of getting you that dream car that you have at the best possible price. Why? Because that's what AutoPro Nashville specializes in with their 2 locations in Brentwood and in Murfreesboro. Off lease is the term. Hans at AutoPro Nashville has been telling me more and more about this, and I can't wait to continue to get to know them, and so we can continue to build a relationship between all of us in AutoPro Nashville. Off lease is you get that high-end vehicle that might have been leased by somebody for 24 months, 36 months, whatever that is, and it's a nice high-end luxury vehicle. So that's not just racking up miles. You're not taking the kids to practice or going to the grocery store in this leased high-end vehicle. So you're getting this off-lease vehicle with barely any mileage on it to where the price goes to where you're like, this is my spot here for this dream ride. And that's what AutoPro Nashville does. And if they don't have what you want currently on their lot, and you should go check out their inventory on their website, but also in person, then they will go find it for you. And their concierge service is top-notch in the area. So not a lot of people are doing what AutoPro Nashville can do. So Hans has his connections, has his really his drive to be the best customer service outlet in the area for you for this vehicle across the country. AutoProNashville.com is where to go.
Like that show for us, everybody. Hit that like button on Facebook or on YouTube. We really appreciate that. Now, to answer your question, Austin, what was the thing about that clip that stood out most to me? Mm-hmm. I think my answer is the tea leaves that I was kind of reading into. I was reading between the lines when he was talking specifically about having spoken to people in that building and explaining the general, like, hey, there are always going to be people that disagree, that feel one way or the other about a certain player. And there are certainly people in the Tennessee front office that are more pro-Love than others.
Yeah.
And what I know, based on having listened to McShay for years now, and from last offseason in particular, I say what I know. What I'm pretty sure of is that he has a personal relationship with Brian Daboll in particular. And I think that Daboll is amongst the people he's probably spoken to or is actively speaking to in the Titans building. And we know that Brian Daboll's input is already being very heavily considered based on what they've done in free agency. Not that he's the shadow GM or anything, but like based on the guys they've went and gotten who were former Daboll guys, he has at the very least given them the stamp of approval, because you don't go get those guys without asking the guy that coached them, who's on your staff, like, hey, what do you think of this guy? So he's giving input to the front office, and he's of course going to do that with this draft after they've gone so defense heavy in free agency. We know that the offense is a direction they're probably going to want to lean. When he talked about last year, Daboll and Joe Schoen in New York kind of not getting after each other, but maybe Joe Schoen realizing, hey, I should probably listen to my coach a little bit more, maybe get him his guys, and Daboll pounds the table and he gets 2 of his guys in Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart. And then he goes from that example, that recap, to talking about now, that McShay that is, not explicitly saying that he thinks there's, I guess what I'm dancing around, what I'm reading this as is McShay has talked to Daboll, and the vibe he's gotten has not been, we must get Love. Does that make sense? Like I think that McShay's I think McShay's explanation of this would have been different if he had spoken to Dable and Dable had been like, I am pounding the table for Jeremiyah Love. I did not get the sense that that's what he's heard. And so if the offensive coordinator is not pounding the table for the offensive weapon guy that is questionable to take it for in the first place, that sticks out to me. But again, that's a lot of reading of the tea leaves. I'm making assumptions here.
Yeah, Big throws in a super chat with a theory. Dable has a big mouth and was chatting too much. Now the Titans are trying to cool this off, but it doesn't 100% mean they want Love either.
The Jeremiyah Love narrative is not a result of Brian Dable running his mouth. That's not
no. But I do think that you're probably onto something there, specifically with Todd McShay, because Todd McShay has been mocking Jeremiyah Love to the Titans at 4. I believe in his mock 2.0, which was right after, I think it was the Monday after the combine. So 3 full weeks between. And we saw that. You and I, we've talked about this on air, off air. And JT's been a part of the conversation about the Adam Schefter thing. And McShay brought it up that Schefter started this. So there was like a sprint of 2+ weeks of Jeremiyah Love is a Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Then Adam Schefter was like, hold on. And now McShay's like, I heard that. I went back and followed up. And so I also feel like there is real interest in the Titans and Jeremiyah Love.
Of course. They had him in on a 30 visit 10 seconds after the combine.
Yeah, which they did that with Cam Ward last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the Titans draft Jeremiyah Love at 4, Mike Borgonzi has created a trend already.
Guys,
right after the combine, get your favorite guy in now.
I still think we're missing information because, again,
of course,
that parallel exists. People, I think, have started to lose sight of the fact that it wasn't just Cam Ward they had. They had Cam and Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders, all 4 in within like a 48-hour period that exact weekend. So Cam was amongst them, but they had in the group that I think they were ultimately picking from. Now maybe Shadur was like, maybe a separate thing, but
Shadur was at
smoke
screen on like we're gonna do both because it's
and
good. It's good in the
signaling messaging to the rest of the league, right?
Messaging. Thank you.
Do you really think that Jeremiyah Love was the only guy they had in on a 30 visit that weekend? I don't.
I mean, I didn't really see a bunch of other Instagram stories of guys being like B&A. Hey, they can.
Yeah, but you're not required to do an Instagram story when you visit a place. My point is,
has there been reporting? What? I mean, you've put out the article tracking, right?
Not yet. We'll see. I do not think he was the only guy they had to visit that weekend.
There have not been a lot of out there 30 visit reports to the Titans.
I think we have 7, maybe 8. I'll have to go check the number. It's there's a bunch that are going to come in the next month. I know that during the combine, they had formal visits with all 3 of the edge rushers, right? Mike Borgonzi all but said it himself. We have not heard of a 30 visit for any of those guys. So I won't be surprised if it eventually comes out. They're like, oh, all 3 of those guys were also there that weekend. I won't be surprised by that.
Yeah, like that we got now. It's
would it
like
have?
Yes. Jeremiyah Love's got out so fast.
Yeah, but we know why that happened.
Why? Because we follow him on Instagram and we're good at looking for stuff.
Because of his Instagram story, because he put it out, but also because there are other things.
Okay. All right. So So my answer to the question.
I want to, because that was a rambling, that was poor form on my part. I want to put a bow on what I was having to say, because Big comes in the chat and says, Easton, one thing I got to say on a previous McShay pod, and I know what he's talking about here. McShay literally said he thought Dable would pound the table for an offensive player. He said pound, yes. And this was, again, up to interpretation. The way I interpreted that spiel on a previous episode was him talking about how in the recent past, a la last year, Dable, when he had a guy on offense that he wanted, he is willing to pound the table like he did for Dart and for Scadaboo. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to have such a narrow assumption here that it's like, I think McShay is talking definitely to Dable in particular, and Dable is the one that's maybe not pounding the table for Love, because that's a lot of guesses. What I will say is, McShay, we know, has talked to and is connected to important people in the Titans building. Like, we know he and Dable have a connection. That's established. We know he and Mike Borgonzi have a connection. They did a pod and he just talked about him.
That one's newer, though.
It is new, but we know they're connected, right? Like,
yes, because he called Borgonzi's a masshole because the Massachusetts name and nickname and all that, and that's where McShay's from. But they know a lot of the same people, but they are a newer relationship as of like the last couple of months.
But the bottom line is Todd McShay has been building draft specific relationships for literally the length of my life for a quarter century now. And we know that the Titans front office is chock full of guys that have been around the block. So like he knows important people in there. He talks to important people in there. I feel confident in that. For him to then go on the spiel that he went on that we played a minute ago and dance around the idea that, yes, there are people in the Titans building that like Love, but then talk about the pound the table element and not really allude to any important person necessarily pounding the table, and then kind of hint at the fact that maybe they're not, because then he literally mocks a different player to the Titans and has Jeremiah Love falling to, I think, 7 in his mock to the Commanders. To 5 to the Jets,
Giants.
or to the Giants, rather. Mm-hmm. Okay. But the point is, he's kind of winking and nodding at you when he talks about who is or isn't pounding the table. Brian Daboll in particular is evoked. And then he mocks a different player to the Titans. That's not hard to do the 1 + 1 = 2 to me.
But I also...
Maybe it's time to ask our question, because I'm kind of transitioning to that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring up one other thing too of, I asked you a question, what was the most important thing or what stood out the most to you from that McShay piece? My answer was the Brian Daboll part 2, but the secondary part that I thought of that we haven't really talked about much is who in that building wants Jeremiah Love. I think Brian Daboll is probably one of them. That's
Bryce Wasserman.
He could. I don't know.
He's just always my guess. I have no idea.
But he's not too far from where I'm going.
Oh, hey, yeah. Well, whose face is going to be printed on the ticket? Me and Danny Heifetz talked about this the other day. Go listen to that video.
This is is that not real? Like I know people.
No, it's 100% real. 100% real.
One of the things that it was routinely 5 things were routinely listed when this Titans head coach job is attractive. What? It was Cam Ward. It was a Mike Borgonzi. It was a bunch of freaking cap space, and it was the draft capital and the new stadium. And we dismissed the new stadium for the head coach situation more often than not.
The new stadium that the Titans are going to show off today, by the way.
Yeah, and you'll be there.
I'll be at the new stadium.
For the 4th overall pick for the new stadium, JT and I did the exercise yesterday on who are the Sweet 16 foundational pieces for the Titans. And when I tell you that my first 4 are...
I didn't hear this, by the way. I'm curious.
These guys, these are the first 4. So right now, pre-draft, these, I think, are the biggest 4 pillars, foundational roster pieces for a multi-year Titans identity. Those are a bunch of big dudes that don't sell jerseys outside of Jeff.
I know. I see where you're going with this.
Jeff sells jerseys because he's a freaking badass. Peter Skronsky, the last time a guard sold jerseys in this market was Bruce Matthews, and he's a Hall of Famer.
I mean, how many current guards in the league sell jerseys? It's like
not much.
The Colts have one, and then
and
I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but
and I will go to my Elite 8. You're my top 8, right? So you got some jerseys there, right? Especially with Wandale, you got a touchdown score, but just one.
A lot of expensive jerseys.
Look at it. I'm talking these players over the next, when Cam gets paid, who will be paid last. These are likely to be the 8 highest paid players on the team over the next 3 years.
If they're all still around.
Which I think they will.
Which I would bet against.
I think they will be.
You got 4 giant free agents on this list. They're not all still going to be here on their existing contracts in 2 years. I would bet heavily against
in 2 years, in 2028?
Like at the end of the next 2 seasons, these 4 guys will not be going into their 3rd year altogether on the contracts they're on.
All right, that's fine. But
that'd be incredible.
In the new stadium,
you would have crushed free agency if that's
Easton,
the case.
In the new stadium, all of these guys are going to be here.
Yeah, probably, barring like injury or something. Yeah,
it would be really crazy if all 8 of them were not here. You've got 2 guys who score touchdowns.
Well, because all 4 of these guys, off the top of my head, I'm imagining their contract team outs are 2 years down the road, probably, right?
Right. So after 2 years. So after the 27 season. So that's where I was going to go is like, they got to get some touchdown scorers, man.
Jim DK.
And that another thing going back to the rebrand party, you're like, Jim DK's he's one of the guys.
All pro. Hey, do not disrespect the all pro.
Return guy.
All pro.
He is an all pro return guy. So,
look him up.
Yeah, I know. All right. So now we can ask the question here.
Let's do it.
And get the chat more involved overall. What percentage chance do you think the Titans actually draft Jeremiyah Love with the 4th overall pick? What percentage chance do you think the Titans actually draft Jeremiyah Love with this 4th overall pick? Easton, first tell us all about the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. Check them out at boneandjointtn.org as I find our overlay. There it is. We got so many overlays. We might need to do some spring cleaning on that.
Now, they're all kind of important.
All of them? I don't know. Well,
I just cleaned them out last week. So
did you? Dang,
yeah.
We got a lot of important things then. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust. We trust our friends at BJI. They're located in Franklin with over a dozen specialists who will help you through any type of injury with a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help you with your recovery. They do it all under one roof for your convenience, from clinic to testing to imaging to surgery to rehab. Schedule an appointment today by going to boneandjointtn.org.
Also, AutoPro Nashville. We're driven by AutoPro Nashville. Just talked about Hans and his great team, Murfreesboro and Nashville, the high-end luxury vehicle for a super competitive price, right off lease price there. AutoProNashville.com is where to go. Also, make sure you hit that like button. Like the show. Got a nice, chunky, big audience here today on a Tuesday, which I'm excited about. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. I put out a mock draft Monday yesterday on YouTube, and you can go check that out. And maybe that'll pop up later in the week when we do a dueling mock, but it got kind of crazy there. Something I put myself in a scenario that I've never been in that I had not been in yet for the Titans in the first round and the third round.
Yes.
In that mock draft. They got kind of crazy.
By the way,
All
Chad,
right,
Austin just called you chunky. You can take that?
No, the audience as a whole, the number. Which is
Oh,
good.
I heard chunky audience. It's up to interpretation.
Yeah, we got a chunky audience here, which is that's big. I like that. You want your audience to be chunky.
Wow. All right. Bold take. Anyways, the question we asked. What was the question we asked?
What percentage chance at this point?
Chance. That's right.
Do you think the Titans draft Jeremiyah Love at 4?
Well, Austin, I've got some percentages. They're in from the chat. Curtis says 80%.
That's so.
Just
that's
out of the gate.
Okay. All right. Where 50, were you right now?
50?
Last year when the Titans were picking 1 on the last week of March.
A week before the owners' meetings.
Where were you?
Was I?
Yeah. What percentage would you just answer with Cam Ward at this point last year?
Oh, I mean, you know how it went. I think I was probably the highest of anybody in the world because I was actively reporting it. So, like.
But you weren't 100.
Yeah, I mean, about 97, 98%.
Okay.
By this point, I had pretty much staked my professional reputation on it being Cam Ward. So I had put a little bit of investment.
I think the article that was the big one came out like April 2nd because we thought about doing it April 1st, but then we're like, we can't do that on April 2nd.
Well, so the first big one was immediately following the combine, the beginning of March, where the headline was "The plan is Cam," where I basically said
I thought that one was planning April 2nd.
Negative.
You sure?
Yeah, I did my draft intel piece immediately following the combine was, maybe I'm mixing up the headlines, but all I know is the initial piece I did post combine was about Cam Ward being the Titans' plan. I may be mixing the headlines, and then following the owners' meetings, which is what you're talking about, like April 2nd, that was the
April 2nd.
Triple down.
The plan is Cam.
Okay, then I gotta go find the headline. I'm misquoting that. Whatever, I need to find what the headline of the post-combine one was. But the first time that I really put my flag in the ground for the first time on the Titans are planning on getting Cam Ward was the first one post-combine. But then a month later, to your point, thank you for fact-checking me, was I doubled down, whatever it is. I think by then it was probably a triple because we've done a lot of shows between then and then. Was like, it's going to be Cam. So yeah, maybe I was 94%, not 97%. Who knows? Revisionist history on my part, perhaps. All I know is that I spent a lot of the month of March last year being kind of alone on the guys that are going to draft Cam Hill, and people giving me a hard time about being like, Easton sure is sticking his neck out there on this. And I was like, yeah, I am. And inside I was like, this is scary, but I was confident.
So
anyways,
now I just want to put that in perspective of how much
we're a lot less confident now.
Yes,
a lot
and
less
you
confident.
should be. But 80 is still crazy.
That's very strong. But listen, stick to your guns. Daniel Caribbean says 60%. Take Rock says 70%. Guy says 35, and Brian says 30. So there are some folks who's I think that maybe their belief is waning a bit. Chris 49%. He's a little bit below halfway right now. Hello Lady says 90 if he's available. He still is all in on it being Jeremiyah Love to the Titans. 35, 30, 33, 70. So it's a real split between people that are roughly a third chance and roughly 2/3, 3/4 chance. I'm seeing a lot of things in the 30s and a lot of answers in the 60, 70, 80s. Very few people are like, there are a couple people like Jacob who are like, if you made me choose gun to my head, I'd say yes, but I really don't feel good about it. 50.1%.
That's like 51% or whatever is still so high.
I'm surprised you think that. You see,
to draft a player? Like the leader in the clubhouse at this point for just about anybody, not the freaking Raiders, is probably under 50% chance.
I'm surprised you think that. I think that.
I think I'll go ahead and jump in here.
Yeah,
I am at a 35% chance for Jeremiyah Love and the Titans.
Wow. So go ahead and give your spiel, but at some point I need you to answer, what is the other 65%? Like, give me the pie chart.
I was about to do that.
Well, but the floor is yours.
So I did not have a pre-planned full pie chart. So I am.
You don't have a graphic.
I'm telling you. I will tell you the second biggest slice of the pie, the third biggest slice of the pie, and the fourth biggest slice of the pie.
That's satisfactory.
Just don't screw me over and just take me to the woodshed on my math being a little weird. Okay,
that's fine.
So if I'm 35% chance Jeremiyah Love, I am about 35% chance David Bailey.
Oh, wow. So you think it's a 50-50 chance between those two?
Yes. And so now I got 30%
or
left.
That's a wrong way of putting it, but you think they have equal odds?
Yes. And then I've got a 20% chance. Let's do 15% chance Ruben Bain.
Okay.
10% chance Arvell Reese.
Do we have any percentages left?
5. Based on my math.
For who?
For 4%
trade back or something?
4% Sonny Styles. 1% trade back.
4%. Okay. All right. That's not the.
So if I
the thing about that's shocking to me is the David Bailey thing. Honestly.
So I'll just repeat cleanly.
Where were you a week ago?
35% chance Jeremiyah Love, 35% chance David Bailey, 15% Ruben Bain, 10% Arvell Reese, 4% Sonny Styles, 1% trade back.
That's good work on your part on the fly. Where were
There's
you?
No Cardinal Tate. There's no Cardinal Tate there.
Oh, I had completely forgotten about that. That's a
that's
kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
It's not. No, it's not.
I think it is.
You think that Cardinal Tate is involved in the 1% trade back?
I don't think Cardinal Tate. I'm not going to say like my chart has Cardinal Tate at 15%. No. And by the way, a sneaky thing that we've not talked about. I was just informed of this yesterday. In terms of Vegas odds, the odds for the first receiver off the board have flipped. Mekhi Lemon is now the leader in the clubhouse, which could be something, could be nothing. I don't know. But I would give Tate more than a fraction of a percent. I think.
I don't think there's any way.
I think Cardinal Tate has the same odds of being the pick as Sonny Styles, to be honest with you.
I don't think there's any way that Cardinal Tate gets drafted to the Titans, because how many players did I list?
There's a way. They love Cardinal Tate.
How many players did I list though? Bailey,
5.
Love, Bain, Reese, Styles.
Yeah.
So they're going to be at minimum 3 of those players on the board when the Titans are on the clock.
Yeah, and I'm saying I think that based on what I feel about this front office, I think Tate is just as likely a candidate to be on the board as a Sonny Styles in particular.
I don't think so.
Well, it's an argument not worth having because they're not
Yeah,
drafting either of those guys.
Because we're talking about
They're
guys
not
that have
taking one of those.
4% chance.
If they trade back, we'll bring it back. But so okay, so to my question I posed a second ago, where were you? Like, what would your percentages have been on Bailey and Love a week ago or 2 weeks ago? And follow-up question, how much of your percentage here is baking in availability? Because like what I'm reading into your percentages with Reese, for example, at 10% is almost all of that is based on how likely you think he is to be there. Because if I told you Reese is on the board, he's not 10%.
Correct.
Right.
That's what, percentage chance they draft, not percentage chance they would draft them, but they actually do, which has the likeliness of them being there into that, right?
Right.
So if this was last week, pre-Adam Schefter hold your horses situation, I probably would have been 40% Love, 30% Bailey. Like, I mean, a little bit there, but like, I still thought
I had it in my head that it was more dramatic for you than
no. Because I always, I'm always crazily shocked by whenever we ask the question, what percentage chance you think something will happen? And people are like 75%. I'm like, you guys are nuts, because there are like 18 different outcomes. There's no way that one thing has one outcome of the several have that high of percentage. We're talking about drafting players, predicting what organizations do, and then predicting what the other organizations in front of them do, and then predicting what another organization might call them because of what they want to do by moving up.
It's a lot of butterfly effect.
People are like, oh, mock draft. Nobody gets mock drafts right. It's like, well, yeah, of course they shouldn't, because you're trying to predict what 32 different companies are trying to do in order. It's crazy. So, but it's all about exercises and figuring out where people are likely to be and finding ranges and finding scenarios and situations and all that kind of stuff. So I'm at 35% Love, 35% Bailey. Those are my top two likeliness for the Titans at 4 right now.
Okay. I guess I can answer the question now.
Yeah.
Which I probably should. I got so enraptured by your percentages, I've not even really considered my own percentages. I am. I mean, if I'm let's start with just Love versus the field, because that's easier. I think Love is a 20% chance, 20-80 probably, maybe 25-75, and a lot of that is availability. To me, where I'm at right now, and I'm antsy at this point, Austin, to get to the owners' meetings next weekend, this weekend, because there's a lot to learn. But where I'm at is what we talked about at the top of the show. If the Cardinals go tackle, I think it's game on for the Titans to pass over Jeremiyah Love. I really do. If the Cardinals go edge, assuming the Jets haven't gone completely off the board, I think it's game on for I don't know what the heck's going to happen here. I think it's game on for buckle up, Buttercup, because I have no idea what the plan is right here. Now, maybe I come away from the owners' meetings, and this time next week, I have a much clearer picture of what that would look like. But so I'm really trying to gauge that. And I'll be the first to say it. Not an Arizona Cardinals insider. Very few of those people on the planet exist, by the way. But based on what I have heard and kind of the vibe amongst the national media, which we all know the national media always has a good finger on the pulse of small markets, so this has to be true. It doesn't seem like the Cardinals are leaning edge. It seems to me, and I fully acknowledge maybe this is just lazy mock draft groupthink for people not wanting to think too hard about a small market team. But where they're at in their team building, it seems pretty clear the Cardinals are kind of punting on this season. They're building up for the future. They may very well be in the do we have a nickname, by the way, for the March for Arch? I like that. They may be in on the March for Arch.
The Arch March?
The Arch March, yeah. I think that a tackle is the kind of pick that makes a lot of sense for them. Not that edge wouldn't, but that's the kind of thing that would set up. It's like the mother bird building their nests.
Yeah.
Setting it up nicely for the landing spot for your baby boy quarterback.
And the Cardinals have a left tackle in Paris Johnson.
And the Cardinals don't have by the way, so it checks out.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, good call. They don't have a right tackle, and you're like, oh well, Francis Mourinho is a right tackle. And I mean, are you going to take a right tackle at 3? I mean, I guess this year, if you're going to do it one year, this is the year to do it. So whatever.
Right. So all of that is to say, and let me get into this general point, Austin, because this is where you and I first kind of today's conversation began on like last Thursday, because I reached out to you and I forget why. It may have been over the Schefter video thing, but I was like, we need to at some point do a topic on the local versus national divide on this Love thing, and since then I think the national with Schefter and with this mock from McShay, and even this morning with the mock from Field Yates, it started to kind of catch up, I think. But I found it fascinating from a 10,000 foot view. If I'm removing myself from my own perspective as a Titans insider and looking at the whole board, the way I phrased it to you was like every person outside of this market is on the same page about Jeremiyah Love to the Titans. But then when you look at people that actually cover the team, and let's use three people that I think we can all fairly say are strongly connected to the Titans or one way or another. Paul Kaharski, Nick Suss, and your boy Easton Freeze. The three of us, as humbly as I can put this, are pretty well connected to the Titans. And all three of us, just to take us as an example, because it's more than just us, but these are the people that I know their opinion on this verbatim. I don't want to put words in like TD's mouth, for example. The three of us have this entire time not wavered on the fact that, man, Love to the Titans just doesn't sit right in our gut based on what we know about this front office. And I want to be clear. I am, based on this clip from McShay and like the whole topic of today's show, this is not me taking a victory lap a month ahead of something that hasn't happened yet. It still very much could be Jeremiyah Love.
So I want to throw this at you because you have been very steadfast on it doesn't make sense because of what I know about Mike Borgonzi. Right? Which is true, right? Of drafting Jeremiyah Love at 4, running back at 4.
Doesn't make sense is a really strong way of putting it. The way I've been putting it is it would fundamentally change what I think I know about how this guy approaches GMing.
Well, what did we talk about in reaction to their free agency class? It was you and I on the show to where it was like, is Brian Dable just driving this car? Like, did they give Brian Dable the company credit card to go buy free agents? No, Mike Borgonzi was shopping for his coaching staff. What is he doing? He's drafting for his coaching staff. And so if you think about Mike
That's
Borgonzi,
an interesting conversation.
So,
I think I disagree.
Okay.
A little bit. Not that he's explicitly not shopping for them. To me, and my opinion's changed on this a little bit as I've kind of surveyed the damage of free agency. And I've also, based on some conversations, admittedly, I've had with people in the building. When you have so much money like the Titans did, and more importantly than the amount of money, when you do the forecast of like who is on the team that we're probably going to have to sign to second contracts, and you like, okay, this year versus next year versus next year, you are looking at the 2025 draft class as being the first potential, and this is not even locked in stone by any means, the first potential stop where you're like, whoo, doggy, we got to save up some money to sign these boys. Because the 2024 class, you may be signing Latham to a big contract.
The 23 class is Pete. The 24 class is Latham.
And then Cedric Gray is a guy, but like top linebacker contract, he's going to get,
no sweat.
15 AAV or whatever at the best case.
And then you have no sweat too, because you traded him.
All right. So you get my point that it's like for the next 2 years, because of who you have to sign, it's kind of funny money. And as long as you don't structure contracts that screw you, is it technically a bad process to spend a bunch of money on guys that are probably overpaid and probably not going to be worth that money? Yes. But can they be loss leaders when you don't really have a whole lot to lose financially the next 2 years to make Cam Ward a guy? Yes. So it's like, it's very much a necessary evil thing. Very much a necessary evil.
You and I went through that like multi-year breakdown on the phone.
And that's the difference between the free agency and the draft, right? Because free agency, I think Borgonzi's looking at it as house money for the next 2 years. Let me shop for my guys and do some necessary evil stuff. With the draft, I think he sees that as that's for me. That's for not the next 2 years. That's for the next 6 years.
Are we gonna have to save the Todd McShay mock draft because I have another topic
for now?
I mean, it's just something I'm gonna tell you, and then it's gonna create another 15 minutes of conversation. And it's 9:05.
Is it based on this, or is it separate? From
it's based on this. No, it's based on like what we're talking about with the shopping for the coaching staff, drafting for the coaching staff.
But that's my take to get it out there. I think free agency was for the coaches. I think the draft is for Mike Borgonzi.
All right, so there are, ironically, in the top 6 picks in the top 6 picks, how many? Look at all the new coaches. There's a lot of new head coaches anyway, but the amount of new head coaches in the top 6 draft picks in this class.
Raiders, Cardinals.
Not. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say Jets. Not it.
No, Raiders, Cardinals,
Yeah.
Titans, Giants. Who's at 6?
Browns.
Browns.
Yeah.
5 in the first 6.
Yeah, and the one that's not the Jets
is the most dead man walking of all time.
Yes. And so I heard something. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, a mock podcast talking about, like, are the Jets going to draft for the 3-4 defense if they're going to fire Glenn like in 10 months?
A good topic.
I don't know.
It's a good topic.
Because that's the difference of David Bailey to the Jets or Arvell Reese to the Jets or Ruben Bain to the Jets.
It could be. It could be.
Brian Daboll. Are you drafting for Brian? Like, you just signed 3-year contracts for a bunch of Brian Daboll guys.
Mm-hmm. The answer is definitively no. If you can, I think, twist it to be like, well, this isn't for Brian Daboll. It's for Cam Ward. We're drafting for Cam Ward. And ultimately, yes, you are drafting for Cam Ward. But by the way, happy 50th birthday to Peyton Manning. That's today. That's kind of crazy.
Let me take Zach again.
Falls angle. Go write it. Yeah, the question you were about to get to, I'm sure, is are the Titans drafting for Daboll if he's here for 1-2 years max, which is all of our assumption? And the answer should be absolutely not. But that aligns with what I just said, right? Like, you can shop for your coaches, which includes Daboll, in free agency, because it's guys that are here for roughly the next 2 years, like Daboll will be. And in the period in which we're pretty sure it's going to be funny money, because you unfortunately don't have homegrown guys to pay from that period. But then once, and fingers crossed, obviously Borgonzi is hoping his inaugural flagship draft class of Cam Ward and Jim Dike and Alec Iamaner and all these, and Gunnar Helm and Jackson Slater if he becomes a starter, and Marcus Harris if he becomes a starter at cornerback or even a rotational guy. Like, every single one of those guys may, if you've forgotten the day 2 guys, hello, Femi Oladejo could have a big year this year. Kevin Winston Jr., he's going to be a starter this year. All of these guys, not one of them is in the, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, this is rude, but like Jaquan Jackson, where it's like, not even. Who's a good example of a guy recently who after 1 year we were like, this isn't going to work? Because even Jaquan had some hype that training camp. I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying though. Like Colton Dowell, again, respectfully. Guys, where after 1 year, you're like, this is probably not going to be a thing. Every single one of the Titans draft picks from last year is still, and it's early, still on the board for, could get a long-term contract with the Titans.
Sure.
In 2020, whatever it is, in 8. They're set, not 9, 29. And so that's what you're building towards.
Right.
Anyways.
So there's the drafting for Daboll that I just said, which feels like a Jeremiyah Love move on top of signing the guys they did on offense. But then there's also Robert Saleh, who just had Christian McCaffrey make that situation a lot better.
Sure.
And you're thinking, Jeremiyah Love is not just a running back, y'all. Like,
he is not. I do this angle cynically. It does make me laugh though, because we do this with every, like, it's the goat. When in doubt, when you need to justify a non-premium player at the top, you just expand their role. Like, every running back we've ever tried. Yeah, well, I mean, that was an extreme example. He had literally done it. So like, what I'm saying is, like, every running back ever that we've talked about as a top 10 pick, a top 5 pick, this is the talking point. It's like, well, he's not just a running back. He's not just going to be pounding between the tackles. And I know that he's not, but it's like, there are plenty of running backs in the league that aren't just running backs. It doesn't change the fact that those guys are only marginally more valuable than the just running backs. I
think Jeremiyah Love, to me, is a 2,000 yards from scrimmage type guy.
I agree. So was Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey and Ashton Genty and Saquon Barkley. And again, this is this is another element of this that I can't get over.
Genty's not the receiver, though.
Well, I don't think he's not a receiver. I mean,
he's not
I think
the receiver.
The back
like
half of last year, he started to show off his ability in the receiving game.
But not like the other guys you named. And either Saquon's not that either, too. Saquon's not a route runner.
No.
He's not a route runner like Bijan and like
Genti and
McCaffrey
Saquon are guys that you want to get in space, and so you throw them the ball in space and design.
Easy. You just do like extended handoffs, which are like
Well, I always forget it's like run, what do they call it? Run solutions or alternative runs or whatever, where it's like
It's basically it's a short pass, but the whole idea is it's basically an extension of the run game.
Run plays that involve a pass, basically.
Yeah.
That's what those guys do for sure. I'm with you. They're not.
Like we're talking about Jeremiyah Love, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan. Who are some of their names that we've talked about? Jameer. Those guys are like route runners.
Yeah. So yes, he is different. But another element of this, and I understand why Jeremiyah Love fans dislike this, but I don't know what to tell you. It's just true. No matter what, and you can build a physical mountain of reasons why you should draft Jeremiyah Love, and a lot of them are valid. I wrote about one of them this week at A2ZSports.com. On the other side of that ledger, on the do not draft side, there is always and forever going to be an element of, how do I say this? No matter what you say to convince yourself of Jeremiyah Love, there will always be but it will be different for us element of it. Because no matter what, recent history is not ambiguous. We are talking about you are joining the rich tapestry, the pantheon of great recent teams that have done this, including the Raiders and the Falcons and the Giants and the Panthers. Like, you are saying it didn't work for them, but it will work for us. And maybe it will, but you're banking on being an exception.
But just, I'm going to have you name those teams again.
Sure. The ones I just named were the Panthers and the Falcons and the Giants and the Raiders.
Yes. There is a difference in all those teams but one. And even that one team, there is a difference. Because...
Let me pull up the whole list, by the way, because let's be comprehensive about this, right?
All right.
Genti.
You do that. Let's go ahead because we're going to have to save the Todd McShay mock for tomorrow or Thursday or Friday or
good
one
problem
day
to have.
We will, easy. All right, but first I'm going to tell you guys about Window Nation. WindowNation.com is where to go for your free estimate on your brand new windows to increase the value of your home. It is spring. The pollen is outside, so don't let it inside, especially for me, because I'm allergic as hell to it. But WindowNation.com is where to go, and we got new windows at our home last fall. They are phenomenal. They're awesome. They just open up the house even more. They've increased the value of our home. And we got buy two, get two free. We have 9 windows in our house that we replaced. And so we had one that was full price. But now in March, it's 50% off all window styles. And I'll just tell you this because April's around the corner. April is also 50% off all window styles. So jump at this spring. They got you covered there at Window Nation. It really was a great experience for us. I lived this experience. Roy came over to the house for about an hour, did some really cool science experiments that showed me how bad our old windows were, how good these new windows are. It was an easy decision, but there's also no pressure decision. Roy was not coming in here trying to hard sell us on anything. He was coming in here to have a conversation and make a relationship. And everybody from Window Nation has been great to deal with, and they will do the same thing for you. WindowNation.com is where to go. Make sure you hit that like button, but also got to tell you real quickly about AutoPro Nashville as Easton pulls up the info that he's looking for. AutoProNashville.com for the high-end vehicle, off-lease vehicle that is going to be a great price for you. Hans and his team do a great job there. Brentwood and Murfreesboro, the website, AutoProNashville.com. Like the show. Easton is looking at the history of teams that draft a running back in top 10, right?
I have it. Yep.
You named the Raiders, Falcons, Giants, Panthers as the teams, the franchises to most recently draft a running back in the top 10. To me, there's one team that's different than the other teams that's closest to the Titans, but even there's a difference. So tell me what you got pulled up now.
Well, those were off the top of my head, and let's expand the scope because I had this list that I was already working on an angle for that I'll probably write today or tomorrow or whatever. But so these are all of the running backs. There are 9 of them that have been drafted in the top 10 since 2010. You got Genti to the Raiders, Bijan to the Falcons, Saquon to the Giants. We mentioned McCaffrey to the Panthers. I skipped over the same year.
What year was Saquon?
Saquon was 2018. 2017 had 2. Leonard Fournette to the Jaguars, Christian McCaffrey to the Panthers. 2016 was Zeke Elliott to the Cowboys. 2015 was Todd Gurley to the Rams. 2012 was Trent Richardson to the Browns. And 2010 was CJ Spiller to the Bills. So we're talking about the Raiders, Falcons, Giants, Jaguars, Panthers, Cowboys, Rams, Browns, and Bills. And when we consider the quality of these teams, let's remember these are the 2015 Rams, not the 2026 Rams, and these are the 2010 Bills, not the 2026 Bills. Pretty different teams.
So I think my point continues.
Okay, let's hear it.
Those teams didn't have a quarterback.
Well, can we talk about the quarterbacks then? Let's just
Yeah,
lay it
the
out.
Carolina Panthers had Cam Newton.
I was about to say.
But 2016 Cam Newton, I believe that was a shoulder injury Cam Newton. That was when the injury started to get. This was after the Super Bowl loss, and it was the year after the year. It was 2 drafts removed from the Super Bowl loss because they were picking high enough to draft McCaffrey.
It was the year after the 15-1 MVP season for Cam. But you had
the year after year.
It just didn't.
Right. Yeah, but why were they picking it?
No, it wasn't the year after the year. Wait, what?
Then why were the
2015 was the 15-1 Panthers?
Okay. So how were they picking at 8th? Did they make a trade? What were the Panthers doing in the
Wait, no,
eighth?
I'm looking at the wrong year. I'm looking at the
That's
wrong
what I'm
year.
talking
2017, not 20. Sorry, 2017. It is the year after the year. And
Yeah.
they went 11-5 that year. So that was a good year for them.
What the hell were they doing picking at 8?
The year prior, the year after the Super Bowl. They were in the Super Bowl in 2015. In 2016, they bottomed out and went 6-8. So that's why they were picking so high.
Okay, got it. So, and that's when Cam's shoulders started to give him issues.
Right.
McCaffrey was 17 draft. I was confusing him and Derek because they had I forget McCaffrey played one more season after Derek's left. So they were, yeah. My
Cam was
point,
not some disaster that year though. Like he started and played in 16 of 16 games. He missed no games. He had 3,300 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, an 80 QB rating. Like, was he the MVP still? No, and I'm sure if we go back and dig into the history, it's like I'm sure injuries were probably starting to crop up for him.
that's because
They
he
didn't
was
have
just
a quarterback problem that year. I don't.
But
think.
they had a but their quarterback wasn't helping them. You know,
They won 11 games. I mean, he kind of was, right? They
But
won
you
11
said-
games.
okay, but why they pick top 8 in 17's draft? That's what I'm talking about, though.
Because in 2016 they won 6 games.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. That led to McCaffrey.
Yes, but I'm saying that the first year with McCaffrey, they were good. They
Yes, because
I correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm talking about the reasoning for drafting the running back in the top 10 was because you did not have a quarterback outside the Panthers. These teams did not have a quarterback already.
So are you saying the 2017 Panthers didn't have a quarterback? Because I just
no,
don't-
I'm saying everybody. That's the one team that did have a quarterback, but
Well, there's
Cam
two.
was starting to struggle.
Well, sorry, are you saying an established one? Because the Cowboys with Dak, but they drafted him that year.
They
too.
drafted him the same year. That doesn't count.
For sure.
I'm talking about like you drafted a running back in the top 10. Every franchise that you listed outside the Panthers did not have a quarterback.
Well, the Raiders thought they did Geno Smith. That didn't work. The Falcons in
That was
2023.
not very long.
The Falcons in 2023 were Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, they didn't have a quarterback. It was Desmond Ridder and
The Giants in 2018.
Heineke. Giants drafted Daniel Jones the 2019 draft.
I was about to say, so that was Twilight Eli in 2018.
Either that or the gap between Eli and Daniel Jones.
I thought
The
Daniel
Rams-
Jones directly
the
took
Rams
over
did-
for Eli.
Huh?
I thought DJ directly took over for Eli.
I can't remember.
I'll look at it. Or chat correct us on that.
And what year was the Todd Gurley draft?
That was 2015. I looked that one up because I wasn't sure. That was
They
Nick
did
Foles
not have
slash
Jared Goff.
Case Keenum that year.
It was
Yeah.
before Jared Goff, guys.
Yeah.
So the Rams did not have Goff.
Richardson to the Browns in 2012. That's a tough pull.
Brandon
2012
Weeden.
Browns QB. There's like 30 of them. That
Brandon Weeden.
You sure?
Pretty positive.
Okay. I mean, that's throwing a dart and hitting on the right Browns quarterback in the 2010s is really hard because they were changing them like you change clothes. CJ
saying
Spiller to the Bills in 2010.
That was absolutely like JP Lossman or something.
Yeah. Not a dude. Okay. So yeah, and then Leonard Fournette to the Jaguars. They were Blake Bortles in 2017. So your point, I'm not disagreeing with your point. I'm with you on the point of and again, to my point, which brought us to this, which was the Titans, no matter what you do to justify it, are always going to have to end the sentence with, but for us, it will be different.
Because it is different.
This is what you can, you can use this to, you can say that this is what it is. You can, I mean, but like the one case in which a team drafting a running back this high had a guy already, it also, I mean, they ended up trading that guy, and they didn't find a lot of success with that guy. Like,
my dartboard is the ocean.
The Panthers. So
my dartboard is the ocean.
McCaffrey. That's okay. How many years did McCaffrey? Because he got a second contract in Carolina, right?
Yeah, then they traded him after that.
How many years did he play? Was it 5 or 6 with the Panthers? That's the question. I think it's 5.
Mm-hmm. I think the overall problem with this is until you get
5.5 years.
Yeah. Until you get to Bijan, who's still too early, and Genty, the other running backs that were drafted, excluding Zeke, because he played his career out in Dallas, and that was a good draft pick because you paired it with Dak in the late on day 3 and you're fine, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd kind of argue, I hear your point about it being who has the established quarterback. I would argue of anybody on that list, nobody was more of a success in terms of making your quarterback's life easier than Zeke was for Dak. Because I remember that rookie year. Like, it wasn't the Dak show. It was the Zeke and Dak show, with Zeke as the first name and Dak as the second.
Which is, to make the quarterback's job easier, for sure.
I think that's the example you pointed to be like, that's what you hope happens if you take Jeremiyah Love for Cam Ward.
And that's what I think that's what you're looking at. That is the best.
If they draft him, I sure hope so.
That's your idea. If you're saying, but Zeke couldn't catch the ball in that situation, like
not a route runner. No.
Like Jeremiah Love can.
Nope, you're right.
And so the problem outside of Zeke and the 2 recent guys is they have done the majority of their successful stuff with other teams, not the team that drafted them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? McCaffrey's going to Super Bowls and going to the playoffs with not the Panthers. Barkley went for 2K yards and won a Super Bowl with not the Giants.
Fournette won doing meaningful stuff in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, for not the Jags, obviously. Yeah. And then there was Todd Gurley, unfortunately, just had his knee blow up.
He's actually incredible and then not incredible all of a sudden.
But he did, because they drafted Goff the next year. Mm-hmm. So Todd Gurley did technically help the young quarterback, first overall pick, get to the Super Bowl.
Totally. I mean, I to be clear, I think every player on this list helped their quarterback. Like, you're not adding players in the top 10 of the draft and your team getting worse. Of course.
But your situation is that this running back is elevating the quarterback that they have compared to the quarterbacks on the list. I do think it can be different, and it is different for the Titans. The situations are not just, oh my God, they drafted a running back at 4. That's not, it's so surface level.
I hear what you're saying. Like, there is more to it than just you cannot ever under any circumstances draft a running back at 4. Like, there's more to it. I get what you're saying. But again, no matter how deep you dig, it still boils down to it will be different for us. And I hear you that there are ways that you can convince yourselves, yes, it will be different for us because of this, and this, because it is different. And God bless you, best of luck to you. You are still at the end of the day saying it's going to be different for us. Because this is a lot of hindsight that we're doing right now with this list, Austin. Yes, only one of these teams that we've talked about had a guy that was an established quarterback so that we can say they had the guy. Mm-hmm. But if we go back to the time and place in which these guys made their picks, how many of these teams earnestly felt like they had the guy and they were just wrong?
Maybe a lot more than one. Jacksonville.
I mean, so let me pull my list back up. The Raiders definitely thought they had the guy in Geno Smith. They traded serious draft capital for him. They totally did. They totally did.
Maybe, yeah.
They went and spent the most money that anyone's ever spent on an offensive coordinator. They brought in one of the only coaches in the history of the world who has won a Super Bowl and a national championship in college. Like they were in last year, man. They were in. The Falcons, like, I don't think in their heart of hearts they thought Desmond Ridder was the guy.
No.
Saquon with the Giants, they had Eli Manning, and so yeah, I'd have to go back and dig, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what they felt at that point. The Jaguars with Bortles probably thought they had the guy. The Panthers with Cam obviously felt they knew they had the guy. The Cowboys is interesting because Dak's a 4th round pick, right? So I'd have to go back and dig on what they're thinking.
Romo was there. That's when Romo's back started to have
That's
issues.
right. That's right. So they felt like they were in like competitive shape for sure. Gurley with the Rams, again, we're starting to get far back. I'd have to go dig to be able to say definitively. And then Richardson with the Browns and Spiller with the Bills. My point is, Austin, I don't want us to get this all comes back to Cam Ward. This is funny how this works, right? Quarterback. I don't want us to get so tied up in this idea that, like, Cam Ward's definitely the guy. I sure think he is. But the history of teams making a draft pick, not just running back, but just any draft pick, making a draft pick on the assumption that, like, well, this is going to work because we have our guy, is a graveyard of mistakes. Because if you're just playing the odds in the NFL, until you have a guy that is for 5 years proven to be the guy, odds are you probably don't have the guy. I think Cam Ward is one of the guys. I do. I really do. But I don't know it for sure yet. None of us do. And so let's do doomsday scenario. You draft Jeremiyah Love. He is what we think he is, like, cool player, awesome. And then Cam Ward's not the guy. And you're staring down the barrel of, like, rebuild again time. You got a running back who's, I mean, at this point, like, not going to be around for when the new quarterback's here. Like, it's just.
Well, I mean, how are you talking about? Again,
talking about fundamentals at this point. Fundamental roster building.
Yeah, but like if Cam Ward bottoms out in year 2, like Will Levis did, is that what you're talking about? Or is Cam Ward
in that instance, or if it's 2 years down the road, we're just like, this is not.
And that's the thing, is like it. Because if Cam Ward bottoms out like Will Levis in year 2, which I am not saying is going to happen, then you're picking very, very highly, and you're going to go, you're in the March for Arch. Like,
Sure.
And then great, cool, or Dante Moore, whatever.
Except everyone's fired again.
Yeah, good Lord.
But to kind of put a bow on this, why is Easton bringing all this up? Well, because this is where this doomsday scenario is what you have to consider when it comes to finances. And this is, again, Jeremiyah Love supporters roll their eyes at this. It's like, well, if you're drafting a running back at 4, he is instantly the, I think, 6th highest paid running back in the league. Yeah, 6th or 7th. I can't avoid it.
It just happens. It's such a natural thing that happens.
I know. It's the opportunity cost thing of, like, well, a 4th overall running back is the 6th or 7th highest paid running back. A 4th overall edge rusher is the, I think, 20th, somewhere in there. I saw this yesterday. I should have written it down.
But that 6th or 7th highest paid running back is like contract number 112 in the whole league.
Sure.
It's not that big of a deal.
But in a doomsday scenario, when we're considering, okay, well, hey, doomsday, we're resetting. Whenever you reset, what do you do first? You go, okay, well, who is still a tentpole of this franchise? Like, who are we going to try to keep in place and build around them as we start to rebuild? You would like for this 4th overall pick to be one of those guys, obviously, and a running back who is, we all assume, going to be awesome and going to be already making the 6th or 7th most money of a running back in the league on a second contract is going to be expecting top running back money. Is any team really in the market for, signing the Ken Walker deal that he just signed with the Chiefs on a second-year contract to a running back when you don't have your quarterback? The answer is no. He will be gone. An edge rusher who's a tentpole guy, that could be a guy you do a 10-year plan for. That's my point. And again, you're getting that guy at a ridiculous discount for 5 years if he is good, as compared to what he is in terms of value financially to your team. So it's an economics thing.
I understand that, and I'm not discrediting that. I think but just like we've talked about, and then you talked about that with Danny over the weekend, last week, about you're slightly overpaying Wan'Dale Robinson because he's going to help Cam, and Cam's as cheap as ever right now. The same thing for me on this. If Jeremiyah Love's 4-year contract before his 5th-year option gets Cam Ward to become a top 12 quarterback in the NFL, awesome.
Sure.
I don't care. Successful pick, in my opinion.
Even
if Jeremiyah Love walks after his rookie deal is over, and you just replace Jeremiyah Love with the next third round running back, cool. But you've allowed Cam Ward to set his foundation during the biggest learning curve of his career.
I hear you.
That is where the value
I'm not sure how sound that argument is when you expand it to be like, well, yes, of course, if you could guarantee a ham sandwich drafted at 4th overall is what gets Cam Ward to be the guy, then give me the ham sandwich.
Yeah, but we're talking about, like, you agree with me when you said that you think Jeremiyah Love can be a 2,000 yards from scrimmage guy.
On a good team, yes.
Is Jeremiyah Love
on a good team?
Is Jeremiyah Love the number one offensive player in this draft?
Easily.
Okay.
He also happens to play running back.
I don't care. You have your quarterback.
I'm not saying it should be the reason you don't pick him, but I really do think you should care.
I don't care.
Okay.
In this year, I don't care.
Listen, I want to see if you can do this cognitive dissonance with me. You say that, and I understand why you say that. If, let's say, 12 months from now, 18 months from now, again, we're playing doomsday devil's advocate situation. If the Jeremiyah Love thing ages really poorly, and we're like, maybe God forbid, there's injury issues, or the team just stinks and it's kind of an Ashton Genty situation where it's like this guy just can't. Let's just say that happens. You and everyone else will look back on clips like the last 60 seconds on this show and say, like, that is how bad teams convince themselves to do bad things. It is. If you take yourselves out of the Titans' shoes, if you take yourselves out of where you are right now, the hopeful energy, it is the kind of thing that ages really poorly. It is. It is the exact same thing that It's the same thing that Falcons fans were saying when they convinced themselves of Bijan. It's the same thing Giants fans were saying when they convinced themselves of Saquon.
They didn't have a quarterback.
But so do you think those teams, those years, were sitting there saying, like, we don't have a quarterback.
The Raiders' offensive line.
Of course
the Raiders
not.
didn't have an offensive line. The Titans have way more of an offensive line than the Raiders.
My point is that all of those guys, all of those fan bases were still sitting there saying, but I understand the history with running backs, but this guy will get our offense over the hump. They were all saying that. Of course they were.
Like, again, and there's no record of me saying this because the Titans were not even, like, we had zero conversations about Ashton Genty last draft season because we just waste of time. Ashton Genty runs weird. Like, I was never a fan of him. Like, I was never this guy's a generational running back talent. He's good.
There's a difference between being a fan and generational. But yeah.
A fan of him for being drafted as high as, like, he was, like, Bijan. Shoof, that dude's a beast. Saquon, I see it. Ashton Genty runs weird. He runs like he's wearing blue jeans. Like,
that's a step too far. He stands weird. I don't think he runs weird.
I think he runs weird, but he came from Boise State. And I'm not dogging Ashton Genty completely. I just think Jeremiyah Love is another level above Ashton Genty as a running back draft prospect.
I think we can skip all of the Genty talk and just say Love is I agree that I think Love is a half tier above Genty. It is clear to me that Love is at least a slightly better prospect than Genty was.
Yes, and he's different. Ashton Genty is not the dual threat that Jeremiyah Love is.
True.
Right. So I think there's extra value to that. And Jeremiyah Love hasn't turned 21 years old yet. That's just something that hasn't really been brought up yet at all that I've seen publicly.
Well, because I think any running back that is even 23 years old is immediately red flag.
And
you expect all your running backs to be that young.
Jeremiyah Love has been splitting time in college with maybe arguably the second best running back in this class.
Right.
Which means he has not had an Ashton Genty year of 500 touches. He's
not Derrick Henry coming out of college.
And even Derrick Henry only had like 1.5 years of being the guy because he broke his leg as a freshman and then was behind Heisman winner and other.
Yeah, but we've always done the thing of being like, how many yards did Derrick Henry already have by the time he reached the NFL? And the answer is like 10 trillion.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry actually had more tread left than we think.
Just agree with me. The point is Jeremiyah Love has less wear than a Derrick Henry did coming out of college. Fact. Right?
I don't know.
Oh, I think the answer is...
I don't know. I mean, if you want to look up Derrick Henry college stats, I'll look up.
Chat, back up on this. I think it was like literally last year we said, congratulations, Derrick Henry finally has as many yards in the NFL as he had in college and high school. It took that long.
But high school, I'm not.
Those are yards.
Yeah, but you're not getting hit like that. Like, you're not getting.
Like the NFL, no. But I mean, it's
no,
still.
like college. Like high school yards, in my opinion. Dude.
Miles are miles, man.
When you're 14 through 17, you're not getting tired. That's free mileage, guys. Like that.
Free mileage.
Yes.
There's never been a promising professional football player whose career fell apart in high school. Not once. Not once.
I didn't say that.
That's kind of what you're saying, though, is that like high school yards and miles don't matter. They totally matter.
Not when you're talking about like a top draft prospect. If you're talking about an injury that ruined your college.
Okay, this is a dumb off ramp when we're 80 minutes into this. Let me put a bow on what I'm saying, because people are literally spending money in the chat to accuse me of being deliberately obtuse. How dare you? Look at me in the eyes, chat. I may be obtuse, but it's not deliberate. It's never for a bit. And Austin can attest to the fact that it's never a bit, because
he was just born this way.
Austin consistently tries to get me to write stuff where I go, no, and he goes, why? I go, because I don't believe it. If I was a guy willing to write and say stuff that I didn't believe, I would make Austin's life a lot easier than it currently is. And Austin, I think, can attest to that.
I would be great.
So
I'm pulling up Derrick Henry versus Jeremiyah Love college.
Okay,
carries.
we're gonna go down this bucket, this rabbit
sure.
hole.
College carries. Right. 433 carries for Jeremiyah Love in his college career to 602 for Derrick Henry. Okay. Now, if you want to throw in receptions, Jeremiyah Love closes the gap a little bit.
Sure.
But Jeremiyah Love, right under 500 touches in college in 3 years. Derrick Henry had 120 more touches in over 3 years. Huh?
That's a lot.
But for Derrick Henry, it was 395 carries in his Heisman Trophy winning season. Jeremiyah Love's high carries in college, 199.
So that's kind of my point, right? Is that it's like in college in particular.
They both entered the league with more tread than maybe you look at, because Derrick had like 1 year.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. And yet, Jeremiyah Love still has less wear on him than Derrick did.
Yeah, but nobody was concerned about the wear on either of those guys. It wasn't like it was. Remember Javon Ringer? Remember that guy had like 1,800 carries in college in Michigan State. And he was like a fifth round pick.
They ran him into the ground.
Yeah, so that's the point.
I'm letting this go because this doesn't matter even a little bit. Here's what does matter, Austin, and I'll put a bow on this in terms of what I have to say. Circling back to what we first brought up a half hour ago at this point, the fact that the people who are most close to the Titans organization, like me and like Suss and Kaharski, the fact that we have, and again, not deliberately obtuse, genuinely not, it's just how we feel in our gut. You know how much easier my life would be if in my heart I was like, yeah, it is going to be Jeremiyah Love. We'd all be having fun. We'd be holding hands and singing Ring Around the Rosie. I'm just being honest about how I feel, and I think it's interesting that people like us who know this front office and know the people in that building the best, it doesn't sit right with us. It does not tell, again, not victory lapping here, it does not tell me that we are right and everyone else is wrong. It doesn't. I really don't know. We'll find out. But what it does tell me is that if they make Jeremiyah Love the pick, it is going to be them stepping out of their comfort zone. It's going to be Mike Borgonzi stepping out of what his process is. Or maybe it's just going to be that Mike Borgonzi has changed. Because again, from a process standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint, this pick just doesn't really align with who Mike Borgonzi is, or at least we understand him to be.
Yeah,
and I find that interesting.
But there's not a lot of data on Mike Borgonzi as a GM. There's a year.
It's not just about him as a GM though. It's about him as a person, him as a GM, him as a guy that came from a Kansas City organization that shaped and molded him. And you look at what Kansas City's record is on this kind of thing. And you then you expand it to, okay, well, Chad Brinker and his background in Green Bay. And like what those influences, you may roll your eyes at like, who cares? Those are the influences that absolutely shape what this Titans front office is. Those two at the top, the head of this snake, that is what they're preaching. That's the indoctrination here.
Sure. I get you. But hey, Mike Borgonzi also was an Ivy League running back. So
checkmate.
Yeah. Did you read the super chats of the you read?
I read the one calling me obtuse.
Okay. Big comes back with another one. Why do we never look at the immediate impact of the top 3 edge on wins and losses or quarterback play? It's always hindsight on Super Bowl teams that have had the luxury. The reality is, if you pick in the top 5, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. With those play.
Yeah. This is a talking point that always rubs me the wrong way. And we unfortunately leaned into it today. It is important to note that if you are drafting the top 5, heck, the top 10, everybody's like, well, it's so convenient. Everybody's like, well, no one's ever drafted an edge that they then won a Super Bowl with. Well, yes, because no one ever drafted a player of any position in the top 10 that they won. Not ever, but like recent history shows us that if you are drafting the top 10, that player is not going to be a part of a Super Bowl win for you unless you trade it up to the top 10.
Since Eli Manning, was it like Von Miller and
those are the guys we're talking about. Yes.
For the team that they drafted. And there's another one in there. I can't remember. Oh, Witherspoon. They just have it. With the Seahawks.
Yes. And now I'm wondering, was Mahomes the 9th overall pick?
10th.
Okay. So technically Mahomes. But quarterback obviously.
Well, I think top 5 is where I was like looking at. But again, that was a playoff team that traded up to get him.
Also true. Yeah, good point. Yeah. I forgot they traded. Good point.
And then Titan 383 comes in. Easton, you have literally said before to take the best player available. Now you're saying it's not the best decision.
So this is actually
defend that one.
Well, this is a good question because this is a thing that gets muddied a lot. Talking about who the best players are versus when I say BPA, best player available, I am referencing what mine or what the Titans theoretical big board would be. And a draft big board is not straight talent, right? Like you would not have Fernando Mendoza at the top of any straight talent board. You may not even have him in the top 5, but he's going to be at the top of almost every single big board because he is a quarterback. So BPA, at least when I say it, refers to the best player available on your big board, which weights positional value. Which, of course, in this case means that Jeremiyah Love, yes, is he the most talented player in this class? Brother, it's either him or Sonny Styles in terms of guys that are the best at their job.
But I think Jeremiyah Love has more proven tape than Sonny Styles and Orville Reese.
I mean, more of it, probably.
Yes.
But, like, I know very smart evaluators who tell me that they've never evaluated a linebacker prospect that it gets a higher grade than Sonny Styles. Nobody says that about Jeremiyah Love, respectfully.
Well, because that's because Sonny Styles is like a combination of Calvin Johnson, Tony Gonzalez, and who else?
And that's why he may very well be the best football player in the draft.
But no, he might be the best athlete in the draft.
No, best football player.
He might be the best athlete in the draft.
He's definitely might be the best athlete in the draft.
He's a very good football player. But linebackers are also. I'm not saying
there's a very awesome like
Styles
just objectively.
I'm not saying Sonny Styles sucks. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
I know, but like objectively, you're wrong in terms of the consensus. There are plenty of people that believe that Sonny Styles is the most talented football player in this draft class.
He might
It is splitting hairs between those two.
Well, because they're football players. But like I'm talking about like in position.
Again, not the point. The point here is that yes, he may be the best football player in the class.
In my opinion,
he's not the top of the big board.
There are two positions, excluding quarterback, two positions that have the biggest learning curve and physicality curve in the NFL.
No one's saying this, by the way, Mr. Clean. That's a crazy straw man.
Yeah. We're actually having a conversation about big boards. Tight end and inside linebacker are probably the two biggest learning curve positions from college to the NFL, as far as your responsibility with the physicality,
right,
with the athleticism, and making the jump. And Kenyon Sadiq, as you know, conveniently that gets brought up. Sonny Styles has that going against him.
Totally.
I don't hate Sonny Styles. If that came across, then my bad. I'm just saying Jeremiyah Love has more translatable, proven production than Sonny Styles does. Because running backs translate easier earlier than inside linebacker.
Well, and 90
That's
minutes
also
in,
true.
Agreed. 90
That's
minutes
why
in to get us
people
back
think
on
you
the
can
tracks.
draft a running back on 3rd round, 4th round, and have him work.
Yes. Now, 90 minutes in to get us back on the tracks, and I think end the episode, because this is a culmination of what we've talked about. Big says, well, Easton, there are also people who believe Love is not just the top football player,
Is the top
but
player.
the top player on the big board. And I want to be clear. I am not saying that nobody thinks this. Big, you're right. There are people that, I mean, McShay, who we started this episode talking about, he, if I'm not mistaken, has Love at the top of his position-weighted big board.
Number 1.
So
Sonny
there are
Styles,
people
number
that
2.
believe that. My point is, I am so thoroughly unconvinced that Mike Borgonzi is one of those people.
So just McShay's big board to wrap this thing up, because it's been a Todd McShay show. Maybe we'll do another one later on. Jeremiah Love, number 1, Sonny Styles, number 2, Arvell Reese, number 3 on his big board before you get to Fernando Mendoza. And then you get to another non-premium position of Caleb Downs at 5, David Bailey at 6, then Vega Ione, a guard, 7th best player.
Mm-hmm.
That's how weird this draft is.
Weird draft.
That I just listed
At
the
the
top
top,
7
weird
players
draft.
on Todd McShay's big board. And you've got 4 non-premium position players, a quarterback, and an edge guy who has played 1 full games of snaps at edge. So
Yes.
it's
Sorry, I
strange.
got distracted by something. Yeah.
No, you're fine. All right, we're done. That's
We've
it.
covered
No
a
shade.
lot of ground.
No shade. No shade.
A lot of
The
ground.
shade is the show went longer, but I think it was a good show. I think it was good content. Hopefully it was entertaining for you guys. So make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Like the show, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. More content coming for that YouTube channel. Also on Facebook, AtoZSports.com/Titans for all these articles. And we got stuff to do. We'll catch you guys later. Appreciate it as always.